Okay, so there's people coming around the world. Let me get started then. And a very warm welcome to our 27th Thought Leadership webinar. We've been here every Tuesday and Thursday, same time every week, thinking about different aspects of security. And the idea is that by thinking now about what's going on, we get a better type of response in the future. And today, our topic is all about the offender's perspective. Now, I have to tell you a little bit of background here. As a criminologist, one of the things that's intrigued me over the years is to understand the people security is supposed to have an impact on. And it can sometimes be a bit of a given that we understand how people behave. And yet in all my years in going into prisons and speaking to offenders as a criminologist, one of the things that struck me as bewildering is just how informed that world is. We shouldn't be surprised at that, but it can sometimes be startling. And I think today you might be startled by some things. We've invited along two ex-offenders and they've got no requirement to be here. They've agreed to take part in order to be part of this idea of feeding back. This is not to condone crime, of course. That would be ridiculous. This is to learn from it. This is to learn from those and the perspective they offer on this topic. So I'm going to ask you, if you've got any questions, to use your question and answer button at the bottom of your screen. Now, typically what I do is I get my panelists to make an opening statement, as you know. Today, it's a bit different. We've got Andy and we've got Tony, and I'm going to talk through with them. You're welcome to ask them questions. You use your button at the bottom of the screen to do that. So, Tony and Andy, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
I did mine. Thanks for mine.
Excellent. Okay, now let's get started off and give a little bit of background to how you got involved in crime. Let's come to you first, Andy. How did tell me a bit about how you got into this this murky world in the start?
I brought up. My mum was a single parent. She married when I was 13. I think it was a bloke. He decided that corporal punishment was the way to discipline me. I left by the time I was 15. I also left school before I took any exams, even though, which was stupid because I was flying through school. I would have aced them, but I just left it. By the time I was 16, I already had one child. Two by the time I was 17, had to provide for them, had no qualifications, no skills. Started off with, I was doing bits of work, but it was petty crime, breaking into cars and stuff. I think that progressed to shoplifting and burglary. It just goes on. Fraud. You change what you do. Once you start getting arrested for one thing, if you've got an essential, try something else. Well, if you've got an essential, stop altogether. But I didn't have any sense, so I'd move what I was doing so to avoid getting strikes. So I just sort of progressed from breaking into cars through shoplifting, burglary, fraud, and that's it. Never any violent crime, by the way.
Okay, Andy, thank you. Tony. Now, we've worked together before, Tony. You've been on one of these panels live, actually, in front of a security audience, and you've come with me to speak to a retailer, to give advice. Give us a little bit of background, Tony, about your background, how you got on, because you started very young, didn't you?
Yeah, my first, similar sort of thing to Andy, really, but I've got a prison sentence when I was 14, like a detention centre, and from there, I probably came out of there knowing a lot more than I did from when I went in, sort of thing, you know what I mean? A lot more serious stuff as well. But from then on, in people people you meet in prison, it just grows quite quick from there, really, you know what I mean?
So, Tony, the thing is, though, going to prison young didn't put you off. You didn't come out of there thinking, oh, no, I don't like this, I don't want to do it again.
No, I was pretty sure I would go to prison. I didn't think it'd be that young, but I was pretty sure I would go to prison. You know what I mean? Yeah. It didn't really bother me. No.
What about you, Andy?
Can I just add to that? I actually got the detention centre sentence. That's when I left home. I used to drive my mum's car without permission. She let. I got the shop detention centre. That's when I decided I wasn't going back. And really, that sort of just made me bitter. Before that, I was scared of the police and I was scared of authority. After I'd been there and been physically and mentally abused for a couple of weeks, I just, I was angry then. I just didn't really care. I thought, that was it. I'm just going to do what I'm going to do.
Yeah, just for people around the world who don't know about this, this was something that was quite common a few years back. The idea was to give you a short, sharp shock to make you think twice about crime. But in neither of your cases did that work, because you both come out and started committing offences. Yeah, tell me this.
Made me more bitter. It made me resent authority altogether.
And so, how did you learn about crime?
Show you how easy it was as well, Martin. It was like, you know what I mean? Quite a little holiday.
What, going into prison, you mean?
We frozen, no?
Yeah, a little bit. Carry on, and we can hear you. We can hear you.
I think we're having some reception problems here, Martin. I can't hear what you're saying, Martin.
Okay, so I was just going to say, we can hear you. So at least that's a good sign. So the question is about, you say it was a holiday, Tony. So you weren't.
Oh, they said they can hear us. Can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
What's happening? You seem to be breaking up.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
You seem to keep freezing. Keep going in and out.
Okay. Let's just persevere and hope it picks. There might be a lot of people on the line here. So
yeah. Okay.
So the question is, if we'll just keep persevering if it happens. So one of the problems is you're saying that you found it fairly easy.
Can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Right now? Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Are you in a place where you're nearest the reception? Are you near the internet connection? Are you near the internet connection? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going. Let's just persevere. It might go in and out.
You're there now. That's right now. No, gone again.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
There's a good reception here as well. So no, you keep going in and out. Make sure she's got. Tell them to turn all their devices off, please. Hold on, we're going to see if we can get everyone to turn their other devices off. It might be interfering with our...
Okay, that would be good. That would be good. Just Andy, while you're on the phone, while you're just you, Andy, question from Sean Goldrick from Australia, who asked about security officers, uniformed security officers, and he wants to know whether, when you were shoplifting prolifically, whether they were a deterrence to you.
At first, to be honest, no, because they used to employ people who just looked. You could see it depends. If you walk in somewhere and there's eye contact, and you can tell by people's reactions. Some of them, if they don't pay you any mind, then no, not at first they weren't, no, but then it just depends basically on the guard and on his reaction. But if you the thing is with it, the way I used to do it's a confidence trick. I wouldn't be stuffing things in my coat. I'll go and wheel the whole trolley out. Do you know what I mean? So it's all just about confidence at the end of the day. So depending on what reaction I was getting, and not really, no, they wouldn't deter me. But nowadays, more so, yeah, because they've got it sussed out. They've got the screens, they've got the cameras, they've got the aids. They've got the electronic stuff to back them up. So they do nowadays. But in the first instance, no, they might as well just been cardboard cutouts.
What about you, Tony? Because you when we spoke about this, you were put off sometimes by uniformed security officers.
Yeah. But more so of like what Andy said. Like when they first started, it was like they was only there just like killing time, basically getting away, sort of thing, didn't they? Do you know what I mean? But now. They seem to take it a lot more serious and personally, sort of thing. You know what I mean? It's like if you went in there, if you're going in their shop, you're taking something from them, and it's not really like that. Do you know what I mean? But it's for me, it was more of a deterrent. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. But the point is, it's more of a deterrent when they're good. So the good ones are more of an issue. Yeah. Okay. I understand it. Now, Andrew Knights has got a question for you, and he wants to know, how do you decide what sort of crimes to commit? I mean, are you specialists in a particular type of crime, or do people tell you about ideas? I mean, how does it work generally? I mean, how did you become a prolific shoplifter, Andy, and then get to burglary?
Just the people I was with when I started shoplifting. I wouldn't shoplift. I think it's when I first got into drugs, yeah, because I didn't have any bottle at all. But once I got into drugs, it was just like, well, I need some money. But people were going in and stuffing things in their coats and coming out, and then they'd have to go to 5 or 10 different shops a day just to get, I don't know, 100 quid. Well, I thought, well, if you can get one thing, you can get 10 things, you know? So why don't I just go and do it once and take the whole lot, rather than go and, you know what I mean? I'm not going in and out and putting myself on offer 10 times for small amounts when I can just go. It's the same crime, innit? Shoplifting is shoplifting, whether it's 50 quid or 500 quid, it's still shoplifting. So you might as well, you know, and if you dress properly and you act properly, you can probably just wheel it right out under people's noses. They don't even notice. More so than if you go in there wearing a big coat and carrying a bag and all that. I mean, you're on top anyway.
You treat it like a job.
Yeah. So it was just a case of that. It was probably people introduced me to it the way they were doing it, but I didn't want to be driving around all day or walking around all day, going in and out of places and having to put myself on offer loads of times. I'll just go in, fill a trolley up. I'll probably have someone's shopping list. I mean, literally, you could get someone's shopping list, say, I'll do your shopping half price. And then you do that, that would be like 200 quid your way. And then you throw a few extra things in there to make it up to, so you probably go and do one trolley, you get 350 quid, and that's you for the day. You know, you can do that out by lunchtime.
What about you, Tony? How did you decide what crimes to commit? I mean, how did you get into armed robbery, for example, Tony?
I got in at a young age though. That was through someone watching, seeing me in a car, getting chased by the police through Orpington High Street, as it goes. And it was a friend of my dad's. I just drove for someone, and then it went on from there. Really, someone didn't turn up to do what they was meant to do, and so I ended up going in on a bank, and just carried on from there. And obviously, money keeps you going as well. And like obviously, then I fell onto drugs, and then it was a case of urgency more so than anything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. One question. So question from when you got the money, did you save it? What did you?
No. That's the only thing with that. It's always a thing. No matter how much you get, yeah, it's easy come, easy go money. Do you know what I mean? I could earn 500 quid working a week, and it'll last me a week. If I out and earn 500 quid in an hour doing something illegal, it'll last me an hour. There's more. You don't respect that.
Okay, you just froze slightly there, but your point...
you know, you might not be conscious of it, but it's like it
is an adrenaline.
It's the adrenaline. Then the adrenaline gets linked to there's a reward to that. Then you go and reward yourself with drugs or whatever, and then it just turns into a cycle.
Okay. There's some question here from Mike Reddington, and so thinking about the fact that you're going to go do a burglary, for example, Andy, or you're going to do a robbery. Can you do a robbery? Can you just you still with me?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. He wants to know, what are the types of measures that you would find most threatening? What would worry you the most if you were going to go into a building of some description? I mean, alarms, CCTV, security officers, what are the sort of things that worry you the most?
CCTV, but then again, oh, you're cracking up, mate.
Okay, carry on.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Carry on.
Yeah, right. CCTV for starters. I mean, I would, if I was out just on spec looking for something to steal, I'd ignore the CCTV. I mean, if someone said to me, "There's a big prize in there," then I might, right. Like I say, if I was just out on spec looking for something to steal to make some money, I'd bypass anything with CCTV, anything with a certain type of alarm system on it, because, you know, some have got monitoring systems and straight-throughs, the new Ring doorbells and all that as well, which is basically CCTV. But okay, if I was out on spec, I'd ignore all that. If someone told me there's a big prize in there, and it had CCTV and a certain thing, then I'd have to find a way to circumvent those things. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, CCTV is only as good as, you know, if you smuggle yourself, if you know you can get in and out and no one's going to get you to smuggle yourself, if it's worth it. But normally, if I see a camera on something, if I'm just out looking around for something still, if I see a camera, a certain sort of alarm system, or, you know, too many overlooking windows and too many, you know what I mean, net curtains that people could be behind, you just leave that. You know, you go and find something that's sort of isolated and, well, I do personally, isolated and with minimum, like, security kind of thing. Not to say that I wouldn't attack something CCTV and a certain alarm if I knew something was in there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Okay, what about you, Tony? So what type of measures would most put you off?
Yeah, like that, like that's the thing. CCTV is the top one really, and obviously like coming like to what the doorbells are like now, like straight through on your phone. Like people ain't even got to be in that now, just to just pick up their phone and like it's they just basically pretend that they're in sort of thing. You know what I mean? Or things like DNA water or smart water, stuff like that. That's the sort of things that's going to stop people or catch people. You know what I mean?
That's another thing. I won't go anywhere with smart water.
No, because that's staying on you until you get caught, basically. Yes.
So any sort of
one of the main things.
Yeah, there's several of those systems. So any of those sort of systems, you wouldn't like that though. You don't, the risk of being sprayed.
No, I try to avoid them. You know, I mean, the thing is, like I say, we're sort of ex-offenders now. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It was a lot easier when we were growing up. There was a lot less technology, and a lot of these systems didn't even exist. But nowadays as well, you find that if you've got anything valuable, you'll be insured, and to insure it, you have to have all these systems in place anyway. Yeah. So, you know, it is getting harder and harder and harder and harder. You know, if you see something without any alarms and without any CCTV, you can pretty much guarantee you ain't going to be nothing in there anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Fair enough. Let's move on then. So a question from Dan Botch, and he says, would you ever carry out surveillance of a place before you committed a crime against it? Do you ever keep watch of either people or the premises?
Yeah, depending, you know. I mean, like I say, sometimes you go out on spec, you get up in the morning and think, right, I need some money, and you just go out looking. Sometimes people would say, I've got a bit of work, I know this geezer's got, you know, he keeps his stash of things in there, or he's got a big pile of money or a load of watches or jewellery and that. If someone points you in the direction of saying, then you go and scope it out and you watch people's habits when they come and go. Do you know what I mean? Whether they, you know, check whether they switch their alarms on and that. Sometimes, you know what I'm saying? You scope it out. But if you're just out on spec, then no, you go out and you just hit what you can hit. But yeah, obviously a lot of times, yes, you would scope things out.
Worthwhile, then you would do it. You would take the time to scope it out, wouldn't you? Do you know what I mean? If you'd be told that it is worthwhile, sort of thing.
Tony, but would you worry about being seen, keeping watch on somewhere? Is that a risk to you?
It can be, yeah, it can be. You get a lot of nosy people about. But then again, I suppose it's like then I would call them nosy people, you know what I mean? But now it's like you think that they're just like looking to protect this, whatever they've got and whatever their neighbours have got, sort of things, you know what I mean? But yeah, I would definitely. But then again, I can grow a beard quite quick and shave off quite quick, and I can like you change your appearance, can't you, sort of things, you know what I mean? So there is ways around that as well.
People are a lot more suspicious now.
Yeah.
You know, put it this way, if I was looking at something, I wouldn't just be sitting there in my car across the road anyway, waiting for someone to wonder what I was doing. I'd try and make a mobile surveillance. I'd look at it from different angles at different times. I wouldn't make it obvious I was there anyway. But like you say, everyone seems to be switched on nowadays, and everyone's got a camera, and you know, it's just not worth it.
So Andy, when you were, you said something important there. You said you'd watch if they switched on the alarms and how they treated security. So the fact they've got security is one issue. It's whether you feel as though it's being used properly. That's another issue.
Some people have alarm systems, but then they've got two big massive dogs. Yeah. So you know really that the movement sensors can't be on in their house. Do you know what I mean? All it'll be done is the window and door tapes. Do you know what I'm saying? But there's ways around them as well. You know, if you don't break them, I mean, if you open the door forcefully without breaking any tapes, what you do is you don't break a window there. And if there's a dog there, You know, you get in through the door without breaking the tapes, and then you know the alarm won't actually go off because they won't have set it for that.
Yeah, you just know they're not using it to its full potential.
Or some people might go and do the school run in the morning and be out for an hour, and you know they ain't set. You can watch, they don't set their alarm then, they'll run out in their pajamas and shoot off. Do you know what I mean?
Very interesting. Okay, so Sarah Spence wants to know, do you travel to commit crime? Did you travel to commit crime? And was there a limit to how far you would go?
100% travel. Never crap on your own doorstep, if you excuse my French. Do you know what I mean? The further out you are, the less likely you are someone's going to recognise you. Do you know what I mean? If it does come on top, you can run away and no one's going to notice you, you know, tomorrow. So you do travel. That's the idea. You don't go and do things on your own manner and they'll rob off your own people, do you? You go further out where it's more affluent and where no one knows you.
Tony?
Yeah, pretty much the same as that. Like further out, the further out you are, the better, really. You know what I mean? You're taking more. You're taking more of the dairy. The further you go out, the more the dairy's getting took off you, sort of thing. You know what I mean? The less chance you are going to get noticed by someone who might be a little bit far out, but not too far out, sort of thing. You know what I mean? The chances are you won't get seen.
Tony, so is there not a risk in travelling though?
No, not if you've got everything what you should have, like tax on your car, insurance on your car, a license helps, a car that ain't stolen, a car that ain't going to attract attention to you. You just got to do everything.
Yeah. Try not to look like a criminal.
Yeah, basically, like you're just going to work for the day.
And don't drive a vehicle that's in your own name if you've got a criminal record.
Yeah, just things like that. Just think of things before you do it, sort of things. You know what I mean?
Where did you learn that all this stuff though? I mean, who taught you to think criminal?
I think you're just. I mean, like whether or not it's true or not, but I think you're either that way inclined or you're not. You know what I mean? It just takes that one occasion to bring that to the forefront, and then from then on in, you're pretty much looking and learning all the time, sort of thing.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I would say, looking back now, my family's pretty much middle class. None of my family are criminals. It's just me. I think it might be a product of necessity at first and environment. Like I say, once you've been in prison, you learn a few things, you meet a few people, and then you might be in the system on probation or licence. So you're meeting people when you go to probation, or these things that you anything that these organised groups or even community service, you get that. You know, you meet other criminals, and it's just that becomes your environment. So everyone's always boasting about new ideas or new things or things that they've done. Do you know what I mean? And you can either jump on board with them, or you can think of a better way to do it. You know what I mean? Or a way that suits you more.
Yeah. So how did you find out about good targets?
Again, just being around the right people, isn't it? Really, you know what I mean?
It can come from all sorts of sources. You can get people who are straight goers, who've fallen on hard times, you know, who are in a hole and about to get in trouble, but they know someone, you know, who's got, you know, a big pile of cash or something, you know, they know something, but yeah, they might want to do something themselves. Like, oh, I know someone who, I used to work this place, and they drop the wage. He walks down and drops the wages every night. It's about every weekend. He has about 6 or 7 grand on him. Do you know what I mean? That might be someone who's never been in trouble before, but they might be, you know, need to pay some bills or something. They'll give you the information. You'll go and do the thing, and you give them a drink. Do you know what I mean? And so on and so forth. And
how do you know you can trust them then?
You have to use your instincts.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to, using your own gut instincts on someone. And probably, like, if you need to, then you basically need to let them know that they need to be trusted, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Fair enough. Let's move on. We've got loads and loads of questions. Can I just say to the audience, if you want to ask questions, use the question and answer button at the bottom of your screen. Lots of questions coming in, so let's move on and see if we can do justice to them. Now, it's a difficult name for me to pronounce. Alexander Kareniuk, and I'm very sorry I didn't pronounce that correctly. Wants to know, Tony and Andy, what things would stop you from committing a crime? Well, perhaps let me ask you this question first. What did stop you? Why have you stopped now?
Children now. And I just, it's like prison, just like, it's not, it's a young person's game now, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's like prison just not the same as what it used to be. Like there's no respect there like there used to be. Like there's gangs in there. It's a dangerous place to be now, prison. You know what I mean? It is a dangerous place, isn't it?
Also, one your age, yeah, you know, you calm down a bit. I used to be like all about instant gratification, and you know, I would just, if someone wanted something, I would feel obliged to go and get it, and I never used to think. Now I'm older, I don't feel as urgency to be up and out and spending money all the time, and just the fact that nowadays the risks outweigh the rewards in so many different ways now. Do you know what I mean? Before you could go out, like I said, I could go out and earn a few £100 by lunchtime. Now it would take me, like, I'd have to go out at 6 o'clock in the morning and come back 8 o'clock at night, and I'd be lucky to have anywhere close to that if I wanted to do it without getting myself on top. Do you know what I mean? It's just, it just, everything, like I say, there's so much technology, cameras, everything. There's too much risk now, and there's like anything that's worth anything is buttoned down there. So I've got tags on it. So you know what I'm saying? So really and truly, am I going to go and risk getting arrested for 20, 30 quid? Hell no. Do you know what I mean? Especially now that after the amount of times I've been to prison, it's going to, you know, my sentence is not going to be a small one. I'm not going to get a slap on the wrist anymore. I'm going for 3 years minimum. So it's going to have to be something really spectacular to draw me back in.
So the question for you from, I'll come to you, Tony, for this one. Lukeman says, were you ever afraid of being caught? Were you concerned when you were committing crimes you were going to end up back in prison?
No, if you that's like if you're worried about getting caught, you wouldn't do it. If you're worried about feeling sorry for people you do it to, you drive yourself mad by having a conscience like that, or having a self-conscience as well about being caught. Or never.
You don't go out thinking you're going to get caught. You know what I mean? If you thought you was going to get caught, yeah, then you leave it. You know, it's just you don't never go out that in your mind. Do you know what I mean? And like I said, it's a risk-reward thing. I've done, you know, I got done for importation. It's when they of cannabis. They downgraded cannabis for one short while to Class C. So I knew that if I got caught bringing this bit of weed, I'd get 2 years maximum. Whereas the financial reward, right, 2 years, I would have done a year, basically. Yeah, so I knew even if I got caught, the most I'm going to do is 12 months. Yeah, and the financial reward was worth the risk. Do you know what I mean? I did get caught in the end, and I did do the year. But, you know, I don't regret it, because if it had have worked, I would have got myself out of a hole. You know what I mean? I was in a financial trouble at the time, and a baby on the way, and I had no money, and I wanted to move out the area because both of us had drug problems. You know what I mean? So I needed money in order to pay off our rent arrears and move to somewhere else. So I took the risk. You know what I mean? But it's then you weigh it up. Do you know what I mean? Even if I don't get caught, can I ride a bit of time? Yeah. And is it worth it?
Thank you. Now, Michael Gibbs, who was on a panelist on Tuesday this week, based in America, wants to know about whether what we're hearing a lot, you two, is that people are going online to commit crime now. Cybercrime's the in thing. Would you have been got into cybercrime, do you think, if you'd been still active?
Definitely, yeah. If I if like obviously you've got to know a lot about all that, but that's where the big rewards are. Do you know what I mean? In cybercrime, and it's kind of faceless crime as well, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? People like that. That's where people. Yeah, I mean, yeah. That it's. I'm a bit of a technophobe with my age, you know. So I've never really got into technology. I don't trust it. I don't even really like to do online banking and stuff. Do you know what I mean? But I can see the attraction of it. And I probably, if I was a bit more technically aware, would have chosen that path. If I had been, if technology had been what it was now when I was younger, I would have probably gone. I would have definitely been on cybercrime, because it basically faceless, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? And it's basically white collar crime as well. There's no such thing as a victimless crime, but you know, at the time it does. Yeah, there are some are more victimless than others, if you know what I mean.
Okay, okay. Question for you, Andy. Erica Gibbons asked the question. Just now you happened to mention dogs. So let me come to you then, Tony. She says, do dogs deter you? Do large dogs deter you?
Not really, no, they don't as it goes. I don't know why. I've always, like me personally, I've always had dogs anyway. You know what I mean? So, actually, no, thinking about it, little yappy dogs do deter me. I don't like little yappy dogs. But yeah, no, big dogs and that don't really bother me because I've always had them around me anyway. And you do learn to, you seem to know how to handle them, sort of things. You know what I mean? But I can see why people are deterred by them sometimes.
Dogs are simple creatures. If you don't show any fear, if you show that you're the alpha, they'll basically, any dog, no matter how vicious or big it looks, if you show dominance, it will kowtow. And I mean, we used to just go in twos. Someone would go around the back and tap on the window, and when the dogs run up and run into that room, whoever will come in the front, shut the door, shut them in the room, and then you just crack on. You just look for a room that looks like it's got nothing in it, draw the dogs into there, and then now someone comes in the front and shuts them in, and you just crack on what you're doing. You don't or drag them or anything like that. It's not the movies.
No.
When you do go into a premises, say you're doing a burglary, do you know what you want to steal before you go in there, or do you go in and have a look around? What's the
better look, like obviously if it's something that's been set up for a while, it is nicer to know that you're going in. You'll grab that, I'll grab this. We know what we're getting, and we're in and out sort of thing. You're in and out within a minute, 2 minutes.
It's nice to know what you're getting.
Yeah.
When I used to burgle, it was quite a long time ago, and we'd go out to the country, and it'd be detached places, and you could basically, once you've knocked and you know no one's in, you could basically walk around and look through windows and see if it's worth even getting in there, you know. But back in the day, everyone used to have big Welsh dressers full of silver collections, or, you know, china, or collection of clocks or antiques, you know, antique wood. You could see it all before you actually had to go in, you know. Sometimes you look around something and think, that's nothing worth going in there.
John Cowley wants to know, do you ever think about the police or when you're committing offences? Is that a worry?
Lost you again.
The police.
You have to repeat the question.
Yeah, sorry. So John Cowling said, are you concerned about the police? How big a threat is being caught by the police? Is it a worry to you each day when you go out to commit offences?
No, actually being caught by the police, it's the certain police that caught after, isn't it? Like, sorry, say that again, Ryan? So
the question was about, obviously the police are there and private security are there. How much are you worried about them intervening when you're committing a crime? Is there much? Do you worry they'll be there? What are the chances of that happening?
Well, you know, it's just basically there's always a slim chance that they could just happen upon you, but you just have to be very unlucky, wouldn't you? You know what I mean? You have to scope where you are for a start. Do you know what I mean? Certain areas, you know, there's a lot of police, or you know, there's nosy people, but really and truly, it's just a question of bad luck or good luck on their part, or whichever way you want to look at it. Whether, you know, you've got to be really unlucky to come out somewhere and walk right into it, yeah.
Or you've got scanners, or like back in the day, you had scanners and stuff like that as well, so he knew they was coming as well, do you know what I mean?
Okay. So an interesting question from Dave Thompson, who wants to ask about COVID-19, the COVID crisis, coronavirus. Do you think that's going to change the way that crime's committed?
You have to repeat that, mate.
Yeah, sorry. Do you think the coronavirus will change the way that crimes are committed?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, because people are not wanting to approach you, or not wanting to get into that certain your personal space even more so now. So, yeah, that down to shoplifting and stuff. No, down to most things it will be, wouldn't it? You know, I mean, no one's going to want to jump on you because they don't want to. They don't know what you're going to have or what they're going to have even. You know what I mean? Yeah, it will make a big difference. Whether it be it'll make it worse for the everyday person or make it worse for the criminal. I'm not too sure, but it will make a big difference on either side. You know what I mean?
I think it depends on your motivation. If you're in a grip of a drug habit, and you're withdrawing, you're not going to be thinking about COVID-19 or anything. Yeah, I took you from experience in the past. You know, sometimes you get desperate and you just do what has to be done. You know what I mean? And if you get caught, you get caught. But I do think, yeah, it does make a difference because you know, even the most serious criminal don't want to die of risk his life just catching a virus. Do you know what I mean? So I do think that it has deterred people with the queuing system now as well. You've got to queue up for an hour before you can get anywhere anyway. So, you know, you're queuing up in a queue. I mean, personally, I don't do it anymore, but I know that I wouldn't have gone shoplifting during this lockdown or during this thing, because you got to stand under the camera for 2 hours before you get in the shop. Do you know what I mean? And then you've got loads of people in there, and you can't rely on just the public to turn a blind eye nowadays, because they'll be outraged as well that you'd be, you know what I mean? During this, you're thinking of yourself, sort of thing. There was a big community spirit going on, wasn't there? So I personally wouldn't have done it, but you know, I know people have been doing it still.
Yeah, it needs must and that as well, isn't it? Like I say, with drug habits and stuff like that, people will still do it, but yeah, definitely.
What about the fact that during the crisis, Tara Farley says that, of course, shops have been shut, so people haven't been there. Does that make them a better target because of that? Are they more risky?
What closed shops?
Yeah.
Another thing, see, but you know, there was a period where I was doing nothing but commercial burglaries, but you know, nowadays you can't get insurance on your shop unless you've got the latest electric shutter, smart water, the this, the that, and the other. The amount of time it takes you to get into a premises now, it ain't even worth it. You're going to be on top, and if you ain't, someone would have filmed you, and you know what I mean? Yeah, it's definitely a deterrent now. Shut shops are basically not what they used to be. They're not really targets unless they're not grilled up or anything. But anyone who's got anything of value, like I say, to get insurance now, especially on a business premises, you've got to have top security. Otherwise, you ain't insured. You know what I mean?
So you feel the same way, Tony?
Yeah, definitely. Like Andy said, if it ain't got cameras outside, if it ain't got any shutter, if it ain't got a sign saying it's going to spray you with water, then it ain't really got nothing in there that it's really worth going to get anyway. Do you know what I mean? So
in fact, a lot of security can mean that there's something in there worth taking.
Yeah, it kind of like gives you a heads up as well, but it also gives you an heads up to how much security they got. So it's like 2 of one and half a dozen of the other, really. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. So let's move on. Keith Kirkcaldy says, "Do you think sentences handed out are big enough deterrent?"
You want to go first?
General question. A general question. Do you think the sentences...
No, hero. No one goes there, is not deterrent because you're thinking you're going to get caught. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I do. Does, if the sentence is really, really long, it's just going to make you more desperate to get away. So it's going to turn a petty crime into a more serious crime because people are going to think, oh, I want to go and do 5 or 6 years, but they're not. Yeah, once it actually comes on top. But no one's going out thinking, well, I'm not going to do that because it's going to, you see what I'm saying? So it's not chucking people in prison forever. There's not deterring from, especially when you just chuck them back out again to start from square one with absolutely nothing. We've set the close they standing. Do you know what I mean? No one's thinking they're going to get caught. So I don't think the length of sentences, unless it's like life, do you know what I mean, or whatever. But I don't think the length of sentence is a deterrent because if you're desperate enough to commit a crime, you're not thinking about getting caught anyway. That's my take on it. Yeah, that's pretty much how it is anyway. You know what I mean? That's right. As I say, you've got to think if you are going to live that kind of life, you can't think about how long you're going to get because it's just chances are you're going to get caught anyway. You know what I mean?
Okay, a few people have got questions around the fact that we're being encouraged to wear masks in the street these days. It's being seen as something we need to do for our own protection of others. Does that give opportunities for offenders, the fact that lots of people are wearing masks?
Right, yeah. 100%. For the sort of people who commit street crime, street robberies, which I have to say I've never done, you know what I mean? Like just personal crimes on people. Yeah, obviously, you're walking around now covered up, or even just random violence, you know, people getting into fights and that. You can walk around smothered up now. You can walk in somewhere now and no one's going to bat an eyelid at you. So if you wanted to go and do someone harm, you'd have much more opportunity now because no one's going to look, what's that? He's got a mask on. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, the fact that you've got to wear mask protection does create much more opportunity for people, yeah.
quick question from Evan Capello. When you were active, how easy would it have been to obtain a gun?
For me, it was quite easy because I was doing them kind of things at quite a young age. But like saying that, back then it was quite easy to anyway. The only thing that was hard to get was bullets. But then again, if you like worked in the kind of circles, you can get them. Do you know what I mean? It's a lot harder. I'd imagine a lot harder now to get something like that with all terrorism and all that. Do you know what I mean? You just wouldn't be able to get one, would you?
I wouldn't know. I mean, back in the day, yeah, I knew people who had guns, so if I needed access to one, I could have got one. But
you never really.
I've never fired a gun. I've never held a gun. I don't want nothing to do with guns. I've had guns in the same room with me. So someone look at it. No, I don't want to know. I'm not interested in guns.
Yeah, some people just ain't, are they?
They scare me. I don't like them. You know, I wouldn't want one around me because if I was in the wrong frame of mind one day, I know I'd probably hurt someone with one. So I'll just stay away from them.
Okay, thank you. The final question, chaps. Thank you so much for your answer. Final question from Phil Wall, and I'm going to ask this to each of you. And he says this: if you could turn back time to before you started committing offences, would you choose to commit them again or take a different path?
Absolutely take a different path. I would have stayed in school. I wouldn't have had kids so young, and I would have, the way we grew up, we didn't learn the value of a pound note really until it was late on. Do you know what I mean? It was all just easy come, easy go money. So yeah, I would definitely do things different. Not that I'm saying I regret my life. I'm just saying that there's a lot more struggle going on. I've struggled a lot more than I would have if I'd have took the right path, basically.
Tony?
Yes, I'd really like to say what Andy just said, but I probably wouldn't. No, I wouldn't change it. I'm quite happy with the way things have turned out. I'm quite happy with the people I know, my kids. I'm quite happy with everything actually. So I'm quite I'm more than happy with the way things have turned out. I wouldn't change nothing. But I wish I could say that and be truthful about it, but I can't.
The reason I say that is because academically I could have done so much more. Do you know what I mean? I'm not a stupid person, and I see people who are a lot less clued up than me, earning a lot more money than me. You know what I mean? For a lot easier jobs. You see what I'm saying? So I know I could have done more. I mean, from a different perspective, there may be no. Some people are just a product of the environment, and there's nothing they can do about it. But I did waste a lot. You know what I mean? And I was told that when I was younger, and I didn't want to know. But now I'm 50 odd. I know I did. I wasted a lot of opportunities, and that's it really.
Tony, Andy, thank you so much for your input and your insights. Fascinating conversation. You both answered the questions directly, and I'm extremely grateful for that. It is really, really revealing to hear your side of the story. Thank you both for joining us. I appreciate it a lot. Really good.
All right, you're most welcome.
Cheers, Martin.
Cheers,
thank
everybody.
You, chaps. I'll call you in a while. Both.
All right, mate.
Okay.
All right, cheers.
Cheers,
right.
Take care.
So the people around the world, thank you very much indeed for joining us. And I'm sorry that some of the sound wasn't that good there, but it was a bit tricky to get them on the phone. But anyway, we managed to do it. And thank you very much indeed to them for their honesty. I hope you enjoyed that. One thing we do have to do, I think, is recognise once again this message that when security is good, it's a problem for offenders. When it's not good, it's an opportunity for offenders. Being good at security has enormous implications. And so what I'm hoping we can do is through OSPAs, identify those who are good. You've heard it from the horse's mouth. You've heard it from offenders. It makes a difference. So could I encourage everyone out there on this webinar now, could you please nominate one entry in one of these countries? US, India, Benelux, Kenya, Romania, Australia, Germany, and from the 1st of July, UK. So thank you very much indeed to them. We go through it all again on Tuesday. When we're looking at technologies helping security tackle infectious diseases, can technology help people get back to work, we'll be asking. And on Thursday, if policing is too important to be left to the police, what's the role for private security? Two great panels lined up for both those. Thank you very much indeed to my panel for their input, to Andy and to Tony. Thank you to Charlotte and Hannah and Christine in the background who helped me prepare all this. And to say finally to you, wherever you are in the world, stay safe.